I'm Aaron Matus with D1 Ticker and Connect, joined today by the new Abilene Christian Athletic Director, Zack Lassiter. Zack, let me first start by saying thanks for joining us and, of course, congratulations on the new gig.
Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it. Yeah, exciting opportunity for me and my family, and look forward to visiting with you here in the next few minutes.
Wanted to ask right off the bat, you have been on the coasts the most part lately in your career. You've gone Florida, of course, North Carolina, Utah, Oregon. So why was this a fit in West Texas?
Yeah, I definitely don't do incremental changes when I get opportunities. And I learned long ago, you don't choose the opportunities, they choose you. And why ACU is a question certainly that I think a lot of people were asking. That the exciting part of this was I was extremely happy at Oregon State. Great opportunity. We were having a lot of success building a new football addition to our stadium, the completing research project. We had a lot of success with our teams. It was a great community for my family. So it was certainly not something where I was looking to go. However, when kind of your why, right, why I do what I do, and the university's why, there was a perfect match. When we had that conversation, it was a very intriguing opportunity for me to, and I've said it to a few others, to kind of align my personal and professional values in a place. And then the more I dug into it, the more I got even more excited about what that opportunity could look like. And fortunately, that was a good match, and we'll get started here pretty soon.
I'm not sure there is such thing as a soft opening when you're in this chair, but you certainly do not get one. You now have a football search on your hands. Where are you going to rely upon your experience, and maybe whom can you speak with in the industry amongst your peers to handle a search like this so early in your tenure?
Yeah, I certainly want to jump into the deep end of the pool. When you're an athletic director, you generally don't spend a lot of time in the shallow end. You jump in fairly quickly, and that's a great opportunity, obviously, for us to find a new leader of our football program. I think for me, it's trusting processes that have been effective for me my whole career. And the first thing people want to talk about is specific names. And while that can be valuable, what we'll do is build a coaching profile. And we've already started that process. Is what are the characteristics or traits that have allowed all the great ACU coaches to have success? And in that process, we'll be able to find exactly what those characteristics are. So then when we start having conversations and looking at potential candidates, we'll be able to match their background with what we've seen has had success. And certainly I'll lean on a lot of people at ACU. We have a lot of great leaders and people that want to get involved. And then my connections nationally are going to be a really good help for me to be able to get an idea on what that process looks like. And we're excited to get started here. And there's been a tremendous amount of interest early on, which doesn't surprise me whatsoever. I see those people are probably attracted to the same opportunity I was to be the athletic director here. So it'll be a fun process, certainly something that we'll take seriously. And in the great words of John Wooden, we'll be quick, but we won't hurry.
He is a good guy to quote. There's no doubt about that. We hear a lot about the first 100 days, so to speak. And I guess technically you're on day 0 because technically day 1 is December 1st for you. So we'll get back to what is your 100-day plan down the road. We're more interested to know, how do you even start something like that physically? Where are you keeping some of your plans for the first few months? And maybe without using the phrase listening tour, how do you plan on spending those first few months?
Yeah, I can't accept the premise of the question, because listening isn't a great opportunity to learn. But it's actually creating as many opportunities to build relationships early on as possible. And in those conversations, you're building a relationship. I probably am doing a lot more listening than talking. And the great thing about ACU is there's a lot of people that want to help. And so that'll be something that started, the day of my press conference, right? I was really intentional about I wanted to meet with 4 people. I wanted to meet with the outgoing athletic director, Alan Ward, who did a great job, who was able to give me, some really sage advice and wisdom. I wanted to meet with every one of our head coaches to make sure that I got an idea of what they're looking for, what are the immediate issues, and then what are the more long-term issues. I asked to meet with every one of our staff members. I wanted to make sure that they got to know me and I got to know them, not in a formal press conference environment, because that's not how we're going to be successful. We're going to be successful in the public moments like that. And then I asked to meet with our student athlete leadership. I want to make sure that I understand why they chose ACU. What is it about Abilene Christian that appeals to them, because they had opportunities to choose a lot of places. So if you put yourself in environments where you're around either a lot of smart people or a lot of passionate people, and hopefully a lot of smart, passionate people, it's amazing what you can learn. And fortunately, I think we've been able to do that fairly quickly. I actually was out there this past weekend again, got a chance to meet with a lot of good stakeholders. And now when I officially start on December 1st, I'm not starting at ground zero. Hopefully I've been able to build that momentum, but then certainly there'll be some things that we'll jump right into. And it's been a fun process. I've been overwhelmed in a positive way. I was really attracted to the people through the process and how they talked about ACU and the passion that they have for this place and why is this a place that they continue to support. That has only been reinforced in that conversation, that there's clearly something about Abilene Christian University that attracts a lot of great people. And for us now, it's a matter of articulating that in a way and attracting people that are looking for that kind of experience, both in the classroom and growing their faith, in the competition, and in the community as well.
To your point, I'm sure the job that you landed attracted some very great candidates. And I wanted to ask, you've been in searches before for athletic director openings. Did you take any different approach this time in presenting yourself or perhaps presenting your vision? Because obviously this time it worked out great.
Yeah, candidly, I've actually never been in a search before. This was my first one. And so I don't have a data point to compare it to, Aaron. What I was able to do through the process that was incredibly important to me was how could I create an environment or a mindset that I could be my authentic self all the way through the process. And that's incredibly difficult when you have an opportunity that you're really excited about, right? And we can get so caught up in that headspace of what do they want to hear, or what kind of things do successful athletic directors have, and how do I make sure I share those points, or how do I do those things? What I was able to do, I think effectively, and while I was okay with no matter what the result was, is I was able to be my authentic self all the way through the process. And if that was a match and that was a good fit for the institution, awesome, let's go to work. And that was the end result. If it wasn't, I was going to be okay either. So after I went through the process and had the interview, my best night of sleep all the way through the process was the night after the interview, because I felt like that was me. I felt like I was able to get in a spot where I was able to share that in an environment. And if that choice was there, great. If not, that's okay. Because if I'm going to lead a department, I have to lead it my way. I can't lead it the way that I see others lead in their authentic way, or the way that institution wants to lead. And so, yeah, it was an exciting process. It was something that I've always was curious about what that looked like. And ultimately, it went the way that I was hoping it would.
Be your genuine self is probably a good piece of advice, no matter if it's an athletic director search or pretty much anything in life. So that is a good piece of advice.
Well, easy to say, hard to do, Aaron, right? I mean, it's one of those pieces of advice. And I think this environment or this industry really challenges that, because you see a lot of really, really successful people and they lead in different ways. And so when you're in your career and you're young, you're trying to learn from others, you're trying to emulate those leaders. But I really feel like where you can truly transform yourself individually and you can be able to impact others is your ability to have your self-awareness in such a place where you can be okay with who you are and let the results play out however they may.
It really is sound advice. You guys Abilene Christian won a basketball game in the men's basketball tournament a year ago. And it got us to thinking here in the office, what in your mind is the pinnacle for Abilene Christian athletics? And is there comparisons out there? Can you guys be the North Dakota for football? Can you be the VCU in basketball, or the Green Bay in women's basketball? Just some examples that came to mind. And, what are you using as comparisons, if any, or is it just about being your best self, so to speak, at Abilene Christian Athletics?
Yeah, it's cliche, but my experience working at different institutions is if you spend time trying to be someone else and you're trying to say, okay, we can be like them, you're doing yourself a disservice because you're not figuring out what can we be the very, very best at. And at ACU, at Abilene Christian, I'm still learning what that is. From the outside, I have my perspective. You certainly mentioned the success that they've had in basketball, making 2 NCAA tournaments in the last 3 years after just being in Division I for less than a decade. Their women's basketball team obviously has made the NCAA tournament. The baseball team has won a conference championship. So we're obviously experiencing a great deal of success. I will say that, the purpose of our university and being a Christ-centered environment will trump anything that we're going to want to do on the field and in the classroom. And so we really feel like that is an environment that a lot of young people are looking for. I do believe that our facilities are at a place, again, where we are a great environment where people can be successful. I think the conference and the Division I landscape is so nimble right now that you want to be really careful about, creating concrete goals of who we are and what we want to be. It's more a matter of how do we continue to evolve ourselves? How do we differentiate ourselves so we can articulate why we're a place that young people want to come compete at, and where coaches can be at a place where they can be their best version of themselves as well. Because the last 5 years have shown us that the fluidity of the system is at an all-time high, and that can either scare you, right, or excite you. And I said this all the way through the process. I'm a builder. I like places that are trying to go someplace they haven't been before, want to continually get better. There's no doubt in my mind that Abilene Christian University is that place. And then try and figure out when things move around, are we a place that are attractive? And I believe that we are.
Well, we are excited to follow along as you get started. And let me just say again, congratulations. Good luck as you get started. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Aaron. Go Wildcats.